As for today, you have student loans and you have a lot of them and you don't know what to do. Stay tuned. Keep watching this full episode as I will explain to you the basic changes that we have to the new SAVE program or the new SAVE student loan plan. Stay tuned, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dental Dummies here. Thank you very much for your patience as we have been away a little bit on hiatus with my office opening. Joe has been traveling around the country. Thank you very much again for your patience. My office is finally built. Very, very excited to come back and share some more content information as far as dental businesses are concerned. There is student loan problems, business ownership, practice ownership, career growth, all those things and more. SAVE is the new student loan plan under the Biden administration that has just passed this past summer here in 2023. These are the largest changes in a while since the Obama administration in 2011 with the pay and repay. So what is SAVE? We're going to jump right into it with a general case scenario. I will give you guys two scenarios. One will be actually, unfortunately, the very typical case where like someone owes a lot of student loans. I'm talking like $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 plus. What are you supposed to do? How do you handle it? You want to grow a business. You want to buy a business. You want to start up a business. You want to live your life. How are you supposed to manage this? Stay tuned. Find out. The other scenario. Now, let's say you want those things and you don't owe $600,000, $700,000 in student loans. That's okay. SAVE can still be very, very beneficial for you. Stay tuned as well. There's a little bit of a different strategy and how we manage that aspect. Okay. There's a time and place to take care of your student loans. It might not necessarily be right out of school. Let's run through a general case scenario of someone that owes like $500,000. Let's assume the average interest rate is 5.85%. That's probably a combination of your unsubsidized loans and Grad Plus loans, which is the two most common loans that any dental resident or orthodontist or periodontist or specialist, where we have to actually pay for our residency to get our training. It can definitely cost upwards of a lot of money. Okay. Let's assume a couple of things. It does factor in the poverty rate. It's calculated with 225% of the poverty rate, which is around $27,000 for your standard deduction. I'll cover this again. But let's assume we are a household of just one person. We have no significant other that we're married to, no kids or secret kids that you are claiming. Since your student loan payments are based on income, or income projections is what we can do in this case. So it's always based on the previous year's taxes, guys. So let's say your D4 year, you have $0 here, and your first year of residency, $0 again. Second year, third year, you don't play out the full year. So most people's residencies end around June, right? So let's say you work right away from July to December. That's around 6 months of work. So let's assume that we are in salary for $250,000. Let's take half of that. What do you say? So $125,000. Now let's assume we will make a full year's salary, as we would just increase at the rate of inflation. Hard to make these projections when it's like really beyond 3 years into your career. A lot of things can happen. You become a practice owner sooner, you buy in sooner, you do a startup sooner, and then this number could go down as low as 0, which affects things. Okay. So let's keep it right here and let's just see what happens with the math. Let's take a look together. Okay. Assume a couple of things. If you look over here, before we jump into all this mumbo jumbo math, federal tax rate right now is at 37%, which was the highest amount you could be owing. Well, federal tax rate, say state tax rate, I think state of Virginia is like 6.5%. We're just going to put that at 7 and round it up. All right. Investment rate of return, let's do a very conservative rate of return of 7%. That's not the historical average by any means, especially the past 20 years. You're looking at more like 10+%, 9% on the lowest. So we'll be really conservative. Private refinancing, we'll just keep this the default at 5%. I don't think the current the current refinance rates are not 5% by any means. If your average interest rate is at 7% right now, I don't even know if you'll save like 8%. It's not worth refinancing at this time period. Depends on your financial situation. Let's actually dive in and look at these numbers. What do they mean? This is the default student loan plan if you are not on a student loan plan. So if you have a $500,000 balance, how is this number calculated? So based on your current income. Of the poverty line, which is $27,000 for a person that is single. So if you make $218,000, let's say you make $227,000 in salary. You make a standard deduction, so subtract 225% of the poverty line, which is $27,000. 227 minus $27,000 will equal to $200,000. Take $200,000, take 10% of that, which is equal to $20,000. $20,000 divided by 12 monthly equal payments is going to equal to around $1,600. Okay, not too bad. All right. Let's say you've been making the $1,600 payments, and it's going to go up at the same rate that it's going to continue to go up progressively as your income grows, because it's based on the previous year's taxes. You should be making more money year after year. And that's what we have in our calculations right now. 10-year standard, this is the default student loan plan. If you don't actually take control and choose the most optimal plan for you, you will default to this plan. It is probably the worst plan you could be on for 99% of us out there. We have a lot of student loans, interest rates are high, and it's saying that you're going to pay this off in 10 years. Is that a good thing? Depends on you to look at it. Most of the time, for our situation, no. It's actually terrible. This is the worst one. You pay back $661,000, okay? Nothing is forgiven here, so you don't owe any taxes. Total loan cost payback $661,000. Remember, you owed $500,000. Total cost in today's dollars will cost you a little under $500,000. You will pay this off in 10 years. Congratulations, you have committed yourself to a whopping $5,000 and some change per month post taxes. So you have to work like $10,000 in labor, pay taxes, and then make this monthly payment. This is like not sustainable for anybody. I don't care who you are. This is a terrible plan. There's so many ways you can save money. You're leaving a lot of money on the table here. Just get a plan. A plan is better than this plan. Refinancing is better than this plan. Like, get something. Don't do this one. Okay. Private refinancing. When you guys graduate, or if you already graduated, you guys already know, you will get tons of like spam mail from every bank in the world. They're going to promise you to be able to like lower your interest. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Our loans are with the federal government right now. They're all bundled up with the Department of Education. A bank is trying to put this out there. They are willing to basically give you a loan to pay off those student loans out of the federal government for you at that interest rate. Let's say it's like 7%. They promise you a lower interest rate, let's say 5.5%. So yes, you lowered the interest rate and you will pay it off for sure. What happens is there's a lot of things you give up. Number one, if something tragic happens to you, these loans don't go with you. Your estate will take care of them. Your family will be responsible. This is basically a giant credit card loan. It won't go away. Number two, if you become disabled and you can't practice dentistry, you can't practice orthodontics anymore, you're stuck with these. You're still responsible for these even if you're quadriplegic. You refinanced it. It's no longer with the federal government. You give up those protections, okay? If it stays with the federal government, they die with you. You become disabled. They will get wiped out. You can't do dentistry anymore because that's what you financed to do your trade and your skill. They're wiped out. Good part though, hey, yeah, the interest payments are lower. It's great. Depends on your situation. We're going to cover this in the second scenario when the good time is right to actually refinance. The second scenario being you don't owe a lot in student loans. Let's say $200,000 and less. Let's jump over to the top right here. Old repay. This is just basically repay from before. This is the plan that I was on since 2020. Repay and pay are calculated the same way. 10% of discretionary income minus 150% of the poverty line, which is $18,000 as your deduction. So payments are a little bit higher than save because the deduction is less. You will have a balance at the end of this thing. This is not true forgiveness when you get to here and here. And either one of these is not true forgiveness. Okay? You will owe taxes on both of these. What are those taxes? And right now, this is just a very rough projections, guys. So in the year 2046, 2041, you will pay back $140,000 in taxes, respectively, $275,000 under pay. Why is one higher versus the other? Pay is paid off or absolved, I'll say, in 20 years. Repay is absolved in 25 years. Okay. Yes, the total cost is higher in one versus the other. And a higher than 10 years standard or private refinancing. So you're probably asking yourself, why on earth would you do any of these plans? These are terrible. The real reason is the cost in today's dollars is what makes the difference, guys. You have to understand like the value of a dollar. A dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. Why a dollar today? Time. Time is more powerful. The ability to take your dollar, put it into an asset like your own business, acquisition, startup, even a stock portfolio will be better than paying it off. Or a piece of real estate will be better than paying it off. That's why the cost in today's dollars under the old repay and pay is significantly better than 10 years standard or privately refinancing. In the first few years, you have committed yourself to a very, very manageable monthly payment. It starts out low because you just didn't make any real income your first year of work. This is excellent. The hardest thing to build up in your first year of work is just cash. You just need as much as you can to keep you flexible for whatever your goals are going to be, guys. Start up your own office, acquire an office. You need as much cash as possible just to keep you flexible. And if you don't plan on being an owner in the first year, who cares? Save as much cash as you humanly can. It will leave you flexible for the future. You can't predict the future of what it's going to be, year after year and year on. And you never know. The day comes when you just decide to pull the trigger that you want to be an owner. Starts out here and it'll gradually grow. Sure. Old IBR, we're not stressed about that. That's for loans like pre-2008. Save. This is the big one. What on earth is this thing? Save is what is replacing repay up here. So all the people that are in repay will default to save. So I'm currently on this plan then. It's kicking me over. So how is this one calculated? 10% of discretionary income at 225%, not 150% of the poverty line. So that increases, which means it's $27,000. Your standard deduction now is more. So your monthly payment goes down just a little bit. Over the 25 years time span, if you owe $500,000, you will pay back $530,000. Your balance will grow because the interest rate is still high. Okay. $475,000 will be forgiven in 25 years. Again, not true forgiveness. Taxes due is around $200,000. So take your taxes due plus your total payments. That will equal to the total cost here at $740,000. But as you can see in the calculator, this is actually the best cost per today's dollars. This is the best one. This leaves you the most flexibility, slows down the growth, and it is the easiest one for you to save up as much cash as possible. Committed to a very, very manageable monthly payment. Okay. Don't sweat this taxes due, guys. This is what we call the tax bomb that will be due for me in 25 years. Hopefully this is really just a drop in the bucket by the time you've built up a 25-year career owning an office, living out your goals, and it's just the cost of doing business. You have a book of business that should be doing very, very well. And when you have to pay for this, it's why save versus pay, because pay is currently still in existence. I believe come the summer of 2024, this plan will be completely removed. General math kind of calculates the same way, but why save is still better than this one. So let's see here. Let's first take a look at your monthly payment. It says new repay. It's really supposed to say save. It's new repay because it's replacing it. $0 a month here, here, here. first few years when you're in residency, monthly payment jumps up a little bit, goes up higher, and it continuously grows just a little bit because your income's getting higher and higher. What is the real incentive, though, to get into save, or in this part of the portion of the calculator, it says new repay. Here we go. This is it. It says right here, Biden new repay plan. Right away, this is what we call the total owed year after year. So this is the year 2023, 2024, 2025, so forth. So for a solid like 15 years or something like that, the total balance stays the same. So you guys are like, well, how is that possible? Simple. One of the biggest changes that happened under save versus repay. Repay had a 50% interest subsidy, where basically any annually accrued interest that was not paid for at the end of the year, 50% of it will be subsidized. So if you had $20,000 in interest, your monthly payments only paid back, let's say $12,000, you had an $8,000 balance that would actually carry over to the next year. So it would grow into the next balance, carry over. Under repay, the old one, you would have the 50% interest subsidy. So the government would actually write off $4,000 then, and only $4,000 would carry over. Well, under the new save plan, if you have $20,000 of accumulated interest, $12,000 you've paid back during the course of the year, you have $8,000 left over. Under 100% subsidized interest under the save plan, that whole $8,000 does not actually carry over to next year's balance. It's actually completely wiped out. So effectively, as long as you make your minimum payments, the actual growth of your total principal balance remains the same. So you can see here, it stays at $500,000 this entire time, and you don't actually touch the interest until it starts to go down. This is like the year, this is like 20 years down the line right here. Okay, till that's the real incentive, guys. This leaves you flexibility. If you are crossing into actually lowering the total amount paid, that's because life is good. You're making a lot of money, guys. All right, that's a good problem to have. You're filing a high income. Yes, you will pay a lot of taxes. In some ways, it's a good problem to have. Okay, really, really good for those that just honestly, they owe a lot of student loans. You need the most flexibility. Get on this plan. If you're owing over $400,000, $500,000, and you have like an average salary essentially forever, $200,000 to $300,000, you're gonna stay on this plan. This is it. Ride it out. Put a little bit of the money aside every single month into general stock market, into an individual brokerage account, and you'll sell those stocks and pay for the tax bomb on the back end of things. Okay. Bam. All right. What if you owe very little? This is actually the next most common question of like what I get. Like, oh, I owe $200,000. I owe $150,000. Do I just pay these off? What do I do? You can pay it off. Not very advisable during the first year. There is a way to do this. You will be on save, but it most likely will not be for 25 years. You're only going to be on there until you have a very stable, like solid income stream coming in, where you know where you're going to be essentially for the next, say, 10, 20 years. Like, you really solidified yourself. You've got your practice. You acquired it. You did the startup, or you have a very, very high salary that you enjoy working it, and you've laid roots down, you've built a family, and you know you're going to be there. You're not going to be changing jobs every couple of years. Let's run the numbers again. So 0, 0, 0, 0, half year of work, $250,000. Let's go back to the beginning. So the income, keep the income the same, guys. But now let's say you owe $200,000 in balance, family of one person. Wow. Even still under save, it's like the lowest plan possible. Okay. But nothing's forgiven. Okay. So what does this show? If you look at it under save right here, the total payments, if you just follow this path, calculate it the same way, you owe $200,000. So the total payback is $295,000, but there's nothing forgiven. You paid it off. So there's no taxes due, and that's the total amount. And still in today's dollars, it's still like effectively the best plan because you chose to invest the difference. You should get onto save. It just leaves you the most flexible. If you have a year, you have high income, low income, you start to build a family and you work from 5 days a week to like 2 days a week, 1 day a week, you're in the most flexible spot as far as how do you adjust your student loans, keep it manageable until you're you're in a more stable situation. When you finally have your practice and you make a lot of money, hopefully the interest rates by that point, let's say 5 years from now, you've already worked for like 1 or 2 years. You decide to make moves to do a startup. You built your startup up and it's making a lot of money. It's coming in. And then you're like, hey, business is good. Maybe I can just knock down these student loans, which is most likely going to be the case with the high income that you have. You're not going to be at like a $200,000 salary, significantly higher with the money you're going to be reporting. When you are ready to make moves at that time point, maybe we can talk about refinance. Lots of banks offer it. Shop around, take a look at all the banks, let them all run their quotes, interest rate. And you can either, if you get like a significantly really, really low interest rate, you could do 1 or 2 approaches, have it really, really low, drag it out. If it's like modestly low and you're just making it rain left and right, you could pay it off. It's fine. It's not even going to hurt you. It doesn't affect you. You've already built up your assets and your cash flow stream and you'll be great. So scenario number 1 to review, if you just owe like a buttload like most of us, save plan is going to be the best one. You have to stay on it. You have to apply for it every single year and get your income verified. Okay. Just stay on it so that all these months that go by right after your residency can count towards student loans. And if you get paid during residency, it'll count in your time during residency. It could count towards student loan forgiveness. If you owe a little, like $250,000 and less, maybe $300,000 if your income gets high, but let's say $250,000 to $200,000 or less, and you owe that much, you probably will refinance. It's just a matter of when and what your life situation is about. Be careful about taking advice from people that even took loans 10 years ago. The strategy is different in 2013 versus 2023. These plans here didn't exist in 2013. Really, these plans are only eligible for loans post 2014, guys. Sorry about the long hiatus. It's very excited to finally have the business open. Be sure to click the like button, subscribe below, as finally got the equipment that I like here. Thank you very much to CFS Dental Vision, of course, as our main sponsor. Without Joe and the team, this studio wouldn't be possible to have this built out with fancy equipment finally. And as we grow out this channel, it's very, very exciting to be back. I look forward to kind of sharing more ideas. I have lots of ideas, lots of guests that we're trying to bring on, whether it's branding, marketing, some social media tutorials. Hopefully the interior designer can get on as well. And we'll walk through what maybe design process is like. I will share with you some rules about marketing and branding that I just followed. So far, it's worked out for me. Get a lot of positive feedback on the logo, website, and such. Thank you guys very much. Again, be sure to subscribe, click the like button to not miss a single episode. I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Bye, guys.